Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Uti Elu, and today I am joined by the amazing Manny Money and Noma. How are we?
I'm good.
How's Easter been?
Well,
Happy Easter for starters.
Happy Easter. That was a very quick one.
It felt like it went by real quick, didn't
Really
it?
quick. Before I knew it, it was gone.
And that's the thing with holidays, public holidays. It seems so long when you're approaching, and then the minute it starts, it's over.
It just goes like
so
this.
Manny says hers not long. So
Yeah,
tell us what you've been up to.
I stayed in bed like throughout.
Are you
Yeah.
serious? I envy you.
Well, yesterday I went out with the children. We went to watch movies. We just, went to watch a movie at this Moabudu cinema. And it's this kind of chairs where you roll out and just,
yeah.
So I just passed out and
left them to it.
Have you ever slept in the cinema? That's the best.
But there's some people
I
who
used to-
actually
no,
go to the
never.
cinema to sleep.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
Very,
But
very,
I
very good
find
place
that
to sleep.
very offensive.
I'm with you.
very.
I think how can people work
How dare
in
you?
movies for so long?
See, let me tell
All the
you.
work
I
that
paid
goes
to
into
sleep.
to
Are you
put a
kidding
movie
me?
together and then
We
you
were
sleep.
watching Sonic, the children's movie.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so there
But
was
even
nothing.
at that, I would watch the movie.
No.
I would.
And then I'll go home
I'm
and
with
sleep.
you.
I
would
went
too.
there to sleep.
How's your weekend been, Noah?
Oh, it's what? She said, didn't you hear when I said I envy you? I've been like a driver all through. I have all the holiday makers in my house, so it's
Full house.
truckload of kids.
Really?
In fact, I told a friend invited me somewhere today. I was like, I've got kids. He said, bring them.
Bring
and
them.
It was
No,
like,
you
but
have
they
to- you have
they
to
had
give me your
fun. They
address.
did some art and craft and painted pictures on the canvas. So they were feeling like
Artists.
that kind of thing, minus the hats and all of that.
No,
But they
ma,
did have
I'm
fun.
bringing my children to you next time.
I'm going on
And I'm telling
holiday.
you,
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
going
what
on a holiday. No.
We are bringing.
No, I had to. We had a very chilled Easter, but I had to ship my son out today as well
you-
because his friend called me. So you know how some of your friends call you and they refer to you by your child's name and say, "Oh, so-and-so's mom, they're on a mission."
Yeah.
She says, "Oh, her son has been asking me everything all day."
A
I
play
said, "You don't
date.
have to ask me twice.
Please,
I shall
by
bring
all
you
means.
right away." But I mean, it's lovely to see you guys. Of course, Ua is not here with us today,
Yes,
but we're
she's
gonna have
not.
an awesome show.
Absolutely.
So here's what we found as today's quote. Whenever we do voter registration, we ask, why haven't you voted before? The response is often, no one's asked us. It's not about telling people what to do, but it's about sharing what they can do. And that's by
Absolutely.
Rosario Dawson. So what do we think?
Absolutely, I totally agree, because a lot of people are ignorant. They have no knowledge, even though it's assumed that you should know about voting and elections and what are the requirements of citizens. But I think it's still a gap. There's a huge gap out there, because a majority, from statistics, you know that majority of people have no knowledge. And this is a place where media, parties can actually play a very significant role in enlightening citizens about their rights and how they can be empowered to make the right choices for the right kind of leaders that they require.
That they want. So
Yeah.
I won't respond yet, but let me hear what Manny has to say.
Well, I like what Noma said. I agree with her. I think that we need to sensitize the public. We think that people know why they should vote. I think we should start to tell them about what it entails. Their role, the role that they
And the
play,
impact.
the impact. So let them know that if you do nothing, then a leader will be presented to you, and you have to take it, whether you like it or not. So just tell them about it, sensitize them.
So I hear you on the aspect of sensitization, and it's certainly important, and we hear all that about grassroots empowerment. But do you think that apart from that lack of knowledge as well, we have a trust issue? So even the people that have knowledge, because there's one thing to have knowledge, then it's another thing to use it. So do we actually believe in the system that says if I have the knowledge, and sometimes knowledge is power, then what do I do with that power? So I know what it means to vote, but do I believe that my vote counts? I think that's another aspect
That's
to
another
it.
aspect, but it's also part of sensitization. So you let them know, like she said, the impact of what they are doing.
So that's what I was going to come to, that beyond
Yeah.
the fact of lacking knowledge, it's also the type of knowledge, because you might know how to get your PVC and just think to yourself, it's not worth it. My vote isn't going to count anyway, so you don't actually go ahead. But then there's also the knowledge in gaining that knowledge that says, you know what, if you have a PVC and you don't go out to vote, you're actually giving somebody the opportunity to rig in your name.
But
Absolutely.
You know, there's something I noticed in Nigeria. We only get involved in politics when we get
When
to a
it's just
certain
about the
age,
time.
not
Oh,
just
yeah?
even about the time,
Oh,
the
yeah,
age.
true,
But if
true.
you go to other parts of the world, you see that even
Absolutely.
children know about politics.
Because
they will
the
tell you
system
they are
encourages.
Democrats. They will exactly. So
The
it's the
system
system.
encourages them.
So there was a time I was not interested. I will
Yep.
not even tell a lie.
That's
I
a
only started
majority of
getting interested
Nigerians,
just a few years
including
ago.
Chivas here.
Exactly. So what is the problem?
Yeah.
We should look.
Which is why I said that
Yeah.
lack of interest, it comes from a lack of trust. So you don't want to understand the
Or even
system, and then
knowledge.
because
Because
you
the
see
system-
doesn't inspire you to want to
The
understand.
system
Yes.
over time
Yeah.
has not encouraged people. You see them time without number coming out saying all
The
sorts
narrative
of
is
things,
meant to repel
giving
you rather than to
promises,
be
and at the
inclusive.
end of the day, they don't fulfill. So people get tired over time.
Yeah.
However, they also do not have the knowledge where you know that even if it doesn't work this time, I still
Believe.
have the power to be able
Change
to change
things.
So
the
I
kind
like,
of
I like this passion. This conversation is going to be hot today.
Yeah, because I can go on.
Yes,
right
I know.
now.
So just hold it. We're going to give you the chance to. So the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said that 44.6% of voters who have registered since 2021 are invalid. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, announced that only 1,390,519 Nigerians have registered since 2021 when the commission began another registration. What are the implications of this statement? As the 2023 elections draw near, Akrin Braithwaite joins us today to discuss the PVC drive and INEC preparedness. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news. Okay, so Manny, what did you find first?
Oh, okay, so there's something going on in Nigeria that is really, I don't even know the word. I think I can just say I'm enraged. So I know that the whole Chris Land thing that happened, we're going to go into
get
that
to that.
tomorrow. So we're going to leave that. I don't want to say anything about it. But I found something in the news that is also very, very disturbing. So it says Rivers teachers raped 50 students in 4 months. 50 pupils in 4 months, says FIDA. So the International Federation of Women Lawyers has raised the alarm over the rise in cases of teachers sexually abusing their students in Rivers State. The chairperson of FIDA in Rivers State, Adeta Bayo Briggs, while speaking to journalists in Port Harcourt, the state capital, said between January and April 2022, over 50 cases of teachers defiling their students had been reported and charged to court. She said some of the recent cases were recorded in Ahoada, Elelowo, and Rumokota areas of the state, even as she commended the police for promptly prosecuting many of the cases, which she describes as disheartening. It is sad and disheartening that we have a lot of students that have been defiled by their caregivers and teachers. We presently have a case from Ahoada, a 7-year-old child defiled by her teacher. We have another case of a child somewhere in Elelowa that was also defiled by her teacher. So I don't even want to go into reading even more of this. It's really heartbreaking. Like, how can your teacher, someone that is supposed to be your caregiver, be defiling you? I mean, this is crazy. I'm a lawyer, so I know what this entails. No problem. They've charged these ones to court. But do you know
the many.
how many, number one, how many are
I
we
was just
going
going
to
to say
charge?
that consequences, are there any repercussions for these things happening? And these are the ones that we know of.
These are the
Exactly.
ones we know
How
of,
many
and
more
we are
don't we know
talking about 50 in 4 months. 15, for this is very, I think something has to be done. Our educational system in Nigeria is turning on its own. That's the only thing I can say.
The state government needs to look into it very critically.
Yes.
Because it informs you, this is just 4 months. So imagine in a year, the
What
number
we
of
would be
students
saying.
that are being
Do you-
defined.
and this is the one
Those
that
are
we know
crazy
of.
numbers and very alarming. So I think
It's
the state government needs to
alarming.
get on this very quickly.
I think it's
God.
increasingly clear that we have a problem.
We have
and
a
a problem that needs to be
problem.
looked into very, very
We
quickly.
have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem.
What did you find first?
Still on
God help
crisis. It seems like Nigeria is just taking a downturn even quicker than we imagine. The NURTW crisis today, where soldiers, policemen storm Agbado as MC Olomo and Ishijaba boys draw the battle line. So the story goes that scores of policemen and soldiers stormed Ijayi bus stop in the Agbado area of Alimosho local government area of Lagos State today to forestall a clash between road transport unionists loyal to two factional leaders in the state. We have Musliu Akinsoye, popularly known as MC Olomo, and Aziz Abiola, aka Isijaba. The correspondent who was on site said that about 5 patrol vans and security personnel were on a joint mission in the area, and the fully armed policemen came in with vans and guns, welding soldiers stormed the bus stop just to be able to maintain some kind of calm, right? Over 100 area boys and foot soldiers for both MC Oloma and Isijaba seated with rage as they stood just opposite the security agents. And this is very, very scary. Even though policemen, about 40 and 12 soldiers came in to prevent the clash, but it still talks about the crisis, insecurity situation. And this is not even the north where we're having, this is Lagos, Nigeria. And we're having clashes where area boys are making people, in fact, a lot of people who had shops around that area had to shut down.
Yeah.
So this is really crippling all around, whether it's the economy of the people, whether it's, you know, it's really something that the state government, again, needs to be able to have control over this situation. I don't know how they're going to solve it, but if these people are not checked, you know, put in check now, it could escalate and it could get out of control where lives will be lost, innocent lives will be lost, and devastation all around. So I think it's something that Lagos state government needs to get on immediately.
I mean, the NURTW problem is one that just has the ability to skyrocket. So let's hope that they're able to get it under control. So I'll quickly take my story. So my headline speaks to water scarcity in Kano. And I mean, as we're coming towards the, what is it now, rainy season, so the rains have even been falling, I think it's early days. But here we're talking about water scarcity hitting Kano, and the Kano government intervened. So now the state governor, Abdullahi Ganduje, has directed the Rural Water Supply Agency of the state to immediately swing into action to identify the boreholes that have broken down so that they can be fixed. And looking at, I believe there's a French project that the state had partnered, or a project the state had partnered with the French government on to be able to deal with. Of course, we know we have a potable water issue in the country, but the fact that they're attributing a lot of these of the shortages and scarcity to the fact that there's been theft by vandals, epileptic power supply. I mean, all the things that we know about that are taking place in and around the Kano and Chalawa rivers, which is causing this issue for them in the state. It's great to see that the state government is doing something to deal with this quickly, but I think for me, we just take for granted water down here in the south.
Absolutely.
So to be contemplating where we always complain about floods and all of that, to see that a part of the country is struggling with water shortages is really sad to hear. We hope that the government is able to quickly deal with that and you know, ameliorate these issues for the populace. But at least the government has taken some responsibility there. We hope that it's not just sound bites and they actually get to do something about it. Let's quickly jump into our day for today. So today is World Heritage Day, and it's observed every year on April 18th to preserve human heritage and recognize the efforts of the organizations working for it. We all know that ancient buildings and monuments are an asset to us and to the world. Therefore, World Heritage Day is a collective effort of the communities in the world to do what is necessary. A World Heritage Site is a place that is listed by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, as of cultural importance. World Heritage Day gives us an opportunity to conserve and preserve our heritage culture, which is of ancient significance. They have outstanding universal values. The World Heritage Day 2022 theme is Heritage and Climate to promote conservation research and employ sustainable strategies to protect heritage sites. It is decided by the International Council on Monuments and Sites every year. ICOMOS wants people from various religious backgrounds to set aside their differences and come forward and spread the message of solidarity. What do we have here at
I was
heritage
just going to
sites?
ask that question, that maybe I should go Google and check if we have any World Heritage sites on
I think the
Nigeria.
only ones I can think of off the top of my head would probably be Badagry, the slave trade, the first house in, I think the first, not first house, so the first story building in Nigeria, the slave museum. So I think we have some sites.
But is it listed?
Well, so that's a different thing. So with that process of being listed, do we,
Because
does
I'm
that
sure the
come down to
criteria
here? But of
to
course,
be able to-
when we talk about things that affect our part of our heritage here, even if you think about Freedom Park, I know we've turned it into a tourist destination, but I mean, it used to be a prison. So I mean, there are places that we can sort of think about off the top of our minds when we think about heritage, at least for me, mostly in Lagos, but I know that there are other places around
like
the country.
Oshun, Oshogbo.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
We have something there, the Grove.
So we
Yeah.
do have these sites, but,
But
it's
then
more
again,
about
how
what we're
do we
doing.
project them? How do we,
Yeah.
it's about heritage, it's about preservation. How do we preserve them to become something that the world will come from all over to see? We don't have maintenance culture.
Yeah.
We don't really value things here in Nigeria. So it might be a challenge, but it is a great asset if we begin to look into it.
Okay, I think that would be a good thing for us, and it's a huge key to tourism. So I mean, just going away and coming back, seeing how countries have preserved those kind of
Over the
sites
years.
over the
I mean, when you
and-
hear of the train station in UK for over 100 years, you're like,
Exactly.
wow, it's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
functioning.
I think our focus is just on crude oil. If we're just looking at oil, then we will not see other opportunities, because this is another way to grow
Yeah.
our economy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we have so
Amazing
many
way.
challenges even for us to even get to that point, because
Security.
security. Because I
That's
mean,
a huge
You know,
one.
that's why I was just gonna keep quiet. I'm like, we have so
we have
many
to
to talk
talk
about
it
it.
because
until we sort
there's
out
so
these
many
problems,
things that
nobody
yeah, because even
come.
for me, Badagry is a place growing up that we used to go to. It was one of the popular beaches when we were
I
younger.
went on tours from
Yeah.
school.
But to go to Badagry now, you'd be suicidal. Like maybe unless you were going to go by
Suicidal,
boat.
that's the
But the road is
Yeah.
almost unplayable.
Non-existent.
So exactly, it's non-existent. So you're
If they're kidnapping people in Lekki or is it bad? You're just on your own, like you're on
so
your
yeah,
own.
like you know what, history can wait, heritage can wait.
Yes.
Today's
Let's
let's be alive. Let's be alive first of all.
Let's Nigeria.
Today's problems are enough for today. Can you imagine taking your car there and then you fall into a pothole
Oh,
and the
no,
kind
no,
of
no.
bill
There's
that
no
you get
help.
after that? So, I mean, truly understandable, but it just shows the opportunities that we have as a
that we're
country
not exploring.
that we're not exploring. Because, I mean, even I think it was last week or so, some friends went to Olumo Rock, and I thought to myself, I remember going to Olumo Rock as a child.
I'm not gonna go there now.
I've
But-
gone there.
Well,
I
no,
have.
because of
Yeah,
the
I
train.
think
In
maybe
the past,
the last
yeah.
2 years
Yeah.
or so. 3 years. Yeah.
you-
about
you-
I think
Yeah.
because of the train
I'm
now,
very
it's easier to
bold.
get to. So people want
Train.
to.
I didn't.
Yeah,
we
well,
had to drive. We
yeah,
drove
but-
down actually, and it was a good.
It was a good trip.
experience.
Yeah, and I think the
especially for the
presidential
kids.
library
yeah.
as well now.
Oh
actually-
yes, yes, yes.
Man is like, I don't know if you've let us.
I don't even know what you got.
No, money,
I just
it's-
want to stay in town and be safe, please.
Oh, where you can get a pay ticket and you're out.
Out.
It'll be interesting for us to see. But I'm looking forward to today's conversation and having Akin join us.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Thank you for staying with us. So what is an invalid voter registration? Referencing a publication from Business Day from last year, impressive resources are being deployed to ensure more Nigerians are registered and have their permanent voters cards. PVCs from 2023, popular belief even within politicians is that the higher the voter turnout, the harder it is to rig. However, increasing voter turnout is not easy even when we ignore how difficult it is to register and collect PVCs. On the eve of the 2019 election, INEC's data indicated that over 11 million PVCs have not been collected, and the state with the lowest collection rate at 71% was Ogun State. The states with over 95% collection rate were Gombe at 95.76%, Katsina at 98.69%, Kebbi at 95.13%, and Taraba at 97.30%. And in total, 15 states had collection rates of over 90%. While the veracity of these numbers may be questioned, considering our national predilection to not account properly, we cannot ignore the stories told by frustrated Nigerians about how difficult it was to collect their PVCs, especially in opposition strongholds. Another challenge is the mass collection of PVCs by influential people, ostensibly to distribute within their communities. It is anyone's suspicion if this actually happens or if PVCs are handed out to those who can't be instructed on how to vote. This could explain underage voters a lot better than trying to understand how INEC could register children in the first place. As the election draws closer, we're asking, how prepared are we? How efficient is the PVC drive? And what is INEC doing to ensure a good number of eligible voters are properly registered? We'd love to hear what you have to say. So remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp at 0818-038-4663. Tweet at us at WaysShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WaysShow. So, ladies, do you have your voter's card?
I do. Yes,
Money.
I have mine. I have mine. I'm very pro-Nigerian.
So my question then would be, glad that you both have your voters cards, but how long have you had them and how easy was it to register and get them?
Well, I think when I did, I had the temporary one initially, and then I heard of the process. We had to go to the local government, and it was, truthfully, it was quite seamless because I sat down. It wasn't very cumbersome. They just took me through the different stages and told me when to come and collect it. That was a few weeks later. They had referred me to the local government to go to, and they went through, and I was able to collect it. So in my local government at where I registered, I think it was a seamless process. However, there are all kinds of stories out there about people not being able to find it, or their names were not there, or they had gotten information that their PVCs were ready, but they go there and then one story or the other. So it's still a process that needs to be synchronized across board, so that people can have access to these PVCs. And then they also need to enlighten people. A lot of people do not know that, the
Manny,
process.
what was your experience?
Mine was as seamless as hers, although we had to do a lot of waiting. You know, for some reason they just tell you to stay on the queue and you're there for like the whole day. But it was okay, it was peaceful. But that's not what we have right now. That's not what we're hearing now. So a lot of people are trying to get their registrations, do their registrations to get their voters cards, and we hear about disruptions by unknown gunmen. So unknown gunmen, or whatever.
however you wish to define it.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But
So, I mean, I'm glad that your processes were seamless. Mine was quite tedious, I must admit. So, first of all, even finding the location where I was meant to register. I went to the first place where they said, oh, go there, that's where they're doing it. And we got there, they said, no, it's not here, go somewhere. So I think I went through about 3 different local government offices before I found the right place.
Really?
And then got there and found a huge queue of people hanging around. Okay, so what's
going on?
Nobody seemed to be able to give any direction. So I'm trying to access a gate to say, can I get help? And then as I walk through the gate, somebody's yelling at me and pointing at the wall. Apparently the instructions were stuck to the wall. But then if you have no reference point or context, the what was written on the wall was like gibberish to me, made no sense. So there was nobody to sort of say to me, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. So it took the making a few phone calls to find somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody to send somebody
direct.
Exactly. And then said, oh no, don't go to this place. So we have somebody so just another place down the road, why don't you go there? And that's so it was a very, if I wasn't determined, right,
you
it
would
was
just
very
give up.
I
and
actually
go.
see so many people just giving up and going back home, which is also very discouraging.
It is. And I mean, even the collection process for us was then made easier because of this person. But really and truly, it was a frustrating process.
In fact, now that you said it, I remember that initially the local government where I picked mine wasn't the initial local government. It was a tedious process initially until I was given information that I should try
another
XYZ, and then I went there, and that was where the process was a lot more seamless.
It was easier. It was just the waiting, but it was straightforward.
But I mean, this truly should be a simple process. Why does this have to be so tedious in today's digital age, where you're collecting the same bits of information? I mean, let's not go into the databases of data that the government already collects, but should this really be a tedious process? But I mean, let's get into the conversation and get Akin to join us. So Akin Braithwaite is an expert in growing corporate revenue through creating and leading high-performance customer service teams. He has extensive experience in strategic implementation of customer relationship management environment frameworks and systems. He is an innovative transformational leader with vast contact center management experience in rapid growth markets. He wears many hats, one of which is a politician, and that's why he's joining us today. Thank you so much for being with us, Akin. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thanks for having me join the conversation.
We've been looking forward to having
Easter.
Yes, happy Easter. We should actually say happy Easter to our viewers as well. But thank you. I hope you've had a good Easter. I hope it was restful, if nothing else.
And it's a good way of crowning it off by being here today.
Absolutely.
With you ladies.
That's nice.
So I think I'd like to start off with your experience in obtaining your PVC. What was your experience like?
I would describe it as smooth. I voted in as many elections as I can remember since I got back into Nigeria. And I'd like to say that INEC has really impressed me. They've been trying really hard, given all the difficulties of this country. Each election cycle, I think they're getting better and better and better. And some people don't want them to succeed. You know, I might add.
There is that too.
But despite all that, I must say that they have achieved quite a lot that I really would want to give them kudos. Yeah. So yeah, my own personal experience has been okay. I've been able to get my PVC, vote different elections, and even my election voting has been more like a picnic each time that I've gone out to vote. Yeah, so that's probably because of where
you're
I've been voting
as well. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I like that we are starting off on a positive note. Now, before you joined us, we were talking about the different issues that impact the entire PVC process. We talked about knowledge and we talked about trust. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you think are the key challenges that are standing between Nigerians today and acquiring their PVCs.
Okay, so let's take trust. My lawyer friend here knows that when you want to enter in a contract with anybody, it's not based on trust, you know, because otherwise what's the need of having a contract? So I don't think we necessarily need to trust, you know, the system. It's better to come at it from a position of, I don't trust. But the important thing is that it's your right, and on the other hand, it's also your responsibility. It's a civic responsibility to vote. It's a foundational aspect of democracy. You can't talk about democracy without voting. I mean, during the military era, there's no talk about voting. You obey the maximum, leader, and he gets whatever it is that he wants, But we're now living in a democracy, even if it's what some people call civil rule, or rule by civilians. But all the same, it's still a democracy that allows you and me to exercise our rights, our fundamental rights. Now, in America, even as we speak today, which is kind of like one of the oldest democracies, there's still voter suppression going on, So it's not even as if people go out there and, it's a privilege that they're still fighting for the rights to vote. On the other hand, the irony here in Nigeria is that we don't have to fight to get the right to vote. They're even begging us, oh, please come and register and all that. In America, they're putting up all sorts of obstacles in the way of some folks, to prevent them from being able to vote. So I think we should embrace the opportunity. We should look at it in terms of, yep, okay, I don't trust these guys. I don't need to trust them, but I'm going to go ahead and get my PVC, whatever it is, that's going to get me through that, into that ballot box and really exercise my vote. Now, whatever it is that I meet along the way, people will have different experiences. So some people will have it easy and some people will have it hard. Whatever your experience is, I'd say, just make sure that you are adamant about getting whatever your right is. And you will eventually get it. Whatever it takes, just make sure that you do get that, card. Now, there's a role that you as a citizen play. There's a role that the INEC, authority plays. They can't do it all by themselves. So I think that if you look at the trouble that they've gone through, they've, I think, had to really face up to the reality that they are a major gateway, to how this society is going to run. And I can't really fault them too badly in what they've done so far. So let's encourage them. And let's do everything that we can to make it happen. Now, what has prevented people in the past? One of it is violence. The whole idea of trying to, get people to scare people away from voting. The other is the often used term apathy. A lot of people feel, what's the point? And then the issue around apathy is also one of, which candidate am I voting for? I don't even have a viable candidate to vote for. But assuming like one of you decided to run, or all of you decided to run, then we're giving people the opportunity to now have candidates. What we've done so far is that we've allowed the major parties to sort of say, oh, no, this is a person, that's all the choice you have. But it doesn't have to be like that, We can say, no, this is not the choice that we're going for. Let's even look at what other parties, have to offer. And if you don't even like what other parties have to offer, you can also suggest what other parties should be. It's your country. It's your right. It's your. You have every. Yes, we're not living in a monarchy.
Yeah.
This is a republic. So we all together have a right to deal with and get ourselves to change the government. A vote is a right to change status quo. A vote is a right to say, no, I don't want this person, I want that person, and I cast my vote.
Okay. Can I ask a question? I hear what you say, but to a large extent, we have a lot of ignorant Nigerians who do not even know how powerful they can be with their votes. So whose responsibility is it to be able to enlighten and educate the people on how they can use their power in their votes to be able to make those decisions? Because I don't see INEC doing it.
It's your responsibility.
It's the citizens' responsibility.
Yes, it's your responsibility. You
but a lot of them do not know.
You have an influence over a lot of people. And therefore, it is if you and I begin to take our responsibilities seriously, all those around you that are within your sphere of influence, you have a responsibility to them. How many people have you told this morning, and educated about, look, you must, do whatever is your duty to do. So we have to break it down to the people. I bet you that you can influence 50 people.
Sure.
Within your sphere of influence, you can influence 50.
But what about the
And each of
system?
those- the system, don't worry about the system. The system is you and me.
Okay.
The system is the political parties who probably aren't doing what they should be doing.
Okay, so I guess that's what she's trying to say. So there's someone that's supposed to do it. So even if we know that we have our own responsibilities as citizens to also try to enlighten the general public, but whose responsibility, whose first responsibility is it? Is it the government?
Okay, if you talk
Is
to
it
the
the
average
parties?
person in America or Britain, you ask them, tell you, I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
How
I'm a
did they
Democrat,
get there?
It
took a system to get them.
through the
Through the
school.
schools,
Yes,
through education.
Thank you. So
all
that's
of this. So the
So it
system
has to
is
start from
created
somewhere.
to be able to give
So
that
your constitution
access.
has allowed you to set up political parties. Okay?
Yeah.
The job of a political party is citizen education, is to flag where the government is going wrong, is to push for bills and things like that and get the government moving, is to take citizens, really where they need to go. When they're out of governance, when they're in governance, then of course they need to. But out of governance, there's a lot of work that, and people should sign up and join because that's how you begin the conversation. There's a role for the media.
Absolutely.
In these other countries, media take positions.
Absolutely.
You know where CNN stands. You know where, what's it called?
Yeah.
What's the other
Fox
one?
News.
Fox. You know where Fox stands.
Yeah, NBC.
And all that kind of stuff. So are they sort of non-partisan? No. So they take a position and they take a position based on interest. The other thing too is that, you see, people, if you look at NSARS, why did it become so successful, in terms of the outing before it was broken up? Because it was an issue-based gathering. So if you find issues that affect people, of course they're going to, okay, look, how can I deal with this issue? Which is part of now influencing those that are around you. That, look, this issue it's very, very germane. There's an issue recently that's really doing the rounds, and that's in Lekki, the Lekki Bridge.
Yes.
That's an issue, right? And it's really got people's backs up. So the question now is, okay, so how do we plug into this? What do we do to stop, this tolling and what have you?
Okay, let's hold off on that point. We need to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Just when we were getting going.
Okay, when we come back. Yeah.
There is a short one.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just tuned in, we're discussing 2023 elections, the PVC drive, and INEC with Akin Braithwaite. So we still love to hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp on 0818-038-4663. Tweet at us at WasteShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WasteShow. So, Manny, you had a question.
Okay, so before we went on break, we were talking about whose responsibility, it is to sensitize the public. So now for the people that know their rights, they know that this is their responsibility and they actually want to participate in everything. Now these people want to do their registration and collect their cards, and we see what's going on now. I just think that the issue in Imo State with the unknown gunmen will cause a lot of discouragement in people registering and collecting. So how do you think that the INEC can actually make this process easier? Like she talks about digitization and how it's supposed to help us to make this process easier. So what's your suggestion? How can collection be made easier, or even registration?
Okay, so you don't want people to collect physically, do their own collection?
Yeah, but
Is
if
that
they're
what you're
going to
saying?
be threatening people with guns, they even killed one person and 2 of the INEC staff are missing as we speak. So how do we, I won't go collecting my cards right now if I had to collect my card, if they're going to be unknown government showing up. So how can the INEC make this process easier?
Okay, so let's take a couple of steps back. I think INEC again is doing what they should do and what they can do. They're not in charge of, excuse me, they're not in charge of security, right?
Yes.
Okay. So somebody's failing in their own duty. And so we need to pinpoint where the failure is. The security agencies should get up and be up and doing, and they need to do their work. It's important to be able to go there physically because it's something you don't collect by proxy, all right? Now, there is an effort that has to be made, So maybe there could be postal, whatever you call it, but we don't even have the postal system up and running at the moment. So maybe in another 10 years' time, that can be sorted out, all right? But we're where we are right now. So we have to take where we are and say, okay, let's deal with it. I would say to you, don't be frightened by what the gunmen and so forth are doing. There have been countries where there's been civil war and all those kind of things, and people have had to just go and vote, if you recall the Abba women's rebellion, as they say. Yeah, some people say it's a rebellion. It was a rebellion.
It was a riot.
And they were not deterred. They decided that we're going to get a change here, and we're going to do it. And over 50 women, lost their lives.
What?
Yes, over 50 women, thousands of women were involved. And it went on for months. Okay, it went on for months. So I encourage you women to, you see, by the time you women get engaged in the process, these gunmen they'll back away to the shadows. The other thing is that, as Nigerians, we need to start standing up for our rights, okay? Civil rights America, a lot of people got killed, all right? They couldn't even have the rights as a human being, and just because of the color of their skin, they would be mugged and hanged and what have you. But they stood up for their rights. We have to stand up against these gunmen. We have to tell them, look, gunmen, you're going to lose this particular game because this is our right. We're not going to let you stop us from exercising what is our right. And the police need to go after them. What the people need to do is to say, find those who did that.
Yeah.
Okay? And not let up. Find the people who did this. Crime prevention too is absolutely important. And you see, I truly believe that we have to take things back to the local government and to the ward. These guys come from a particular local area, ward, and whatever.
They can actually fish
the neighborhoods need to come alive.
Yes.
Okay, because this is an existential threat. What right do they have to say, why, if you don't believe in this, so we need to tell the security agencies, not let up on them. Because you see, when people don't speak out, that's why you have the expansion of Boko Haram and all that.
Yes.
Because people just say, oh, well, it's just some bandits or
but
just
people
some
have been speaking out.
Yeah, so you
and what has happened?
You never stop.
We need to just
Do you know how long it took
pushing.
the civil rights? It took them more than 40 years to get.
They spoke up. They lost their family. They lost children.
It is what
we
it
have
is.
to sacrifice.
It
We
is
have
what
to
it
make
is.
this sacrifice.
And that's what we have to realize, that
It is
if
what
we
it
want
is,
to
my
have the
dear.
change that we want to see,
we have to.
we need sacrifice.
At some point, the gunman's wife or sister or whatever is going to call him and say, look, old boy, you got to stop this.
Yeah.
You see, so it's soft power, it's hard power.
But
We've got to get into the psyche of those that are trying to stop us from moving forward.
Yeah.
Those guys have relatives, don't they? They have people who know who they are.
Relatives are abroad.
And
There is.
well, not all of them. I was speaking to my classmates. I was telling them, I said, the truth is we complain a lot here, which we have every right to complain, but at the end of the day, Nigeria is just 60 years old.
Well, so it's
the United States is
issue.
200, is almost 250
Yeah, but it's a relativity
years old,
issue about whether we're going in the right direction
or not.
So it's the regression, I think, that is the key problem. Because if you really think about where we started from and where we are now, it truly feels like we are regressing.
So I think we're still
that's
in
where
the
the challenge
teaching
is. So even if
stage.
you want to say that we're young, you want to see some growth. But I think that for me, if we come back to this conversation of the voters' cards and we come back to elections, now, without the voters' card, you can't participate.
No.
Exactly.
So we all agree that this
Yeah.
is such a powerful tool. But there was something that you mentioned earlier on when you were speaking about the quality of the candidacy. Now, how does that in itself impact? Because I know I should have my PVC before the election, right? But then there's the concept of primaries and all of that. Does that also impact this conversation? Does it impact the PVC?
Absolutely. So in my party, the ADC, one of the most important things that we've set ourselves is a task of encouraging people who have the right pedigree, to step forward, tapping them on the shoulder and say, look, listen, it's actually your responsibility. You have the competence, you have what it takes. Don't let the people down. Nigeria needs you, all right? What's been happening up to now is that we've just accepted to vote for whoever has been presented. So we say, okay, let's take the worst of the, or the best of the worst. But what we really need to do is to say, hey, look, like they say, if you want to send your child to school, you look for the best teacher. If you want to repair your car, you look for the best guy who can fix it. If you want to fix the electrics in your house, you look for the best guy who can do that. So why, in terms of governance, are you accepting anything? So we need to get away from the anything goes type of approach, and we need to look for. I mean, I would be surprised if you told me that you don't have friends, family members who are competent and who you should be tapping on the shoulder and saying, you have got to run.
Yeah.
You have got to run.
Yeah, I think we do that all the time.
You do?
Oh, of course.
You haven't sent anybody my way.
But someone is coming your way. The person is coming your way. So, for me, I would like to ask this question. Do you think that the PVC has helped to reduce election rigging? Do you think so?
Yeah, there's a transition. I mean, if you look back, have you voted in the previous elections?
I have.
Okay, so you'll see that from the era of just them sitting down somewhere and just writing results to the point where people were snatching ballots. So there's been this gradual progression. Now they brought out a new device which is called the automated biometric
another voter accreditation.
That's right, system. So that's going to now take your facial. It takes a picture of your face, facial recognition, and then your fingerprint. So that is, you can see that they keep trying to improve, all right? And they're showing us that they are making the effort. So it's now up to the citizen, to say, look, I'm keying into this, and we're going to really make this thing work. We're going to make it happen. We have to make it happen because they're doing all this for us, okay? They might as well, they could have decided to just keep things, the way they are. So real kudos to the INEC team. We're rooting for you guys, if you're listening. Keep doing what you're doing, keep improving, keep moving things forward.
Awesome. Manny, I think you have a message before we take your question. Nama.
Nama? Okay, Okay, awesome. So, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways, and happy Easter to you all. Considering voting, let us make it a point of duty to obtain our PVC. It is very important. Our PVC is our tool, so is our vote. 2023 is by the corner, and it is no longer far. Also, our vote is a holy thing and should not be given to the dogs. The people in government now are dogs because they are the wrong people. Let us not make that mistake again because it is deadly and suicidal. My heart bleeds after hearing that a teacher molested 50 pupils in 4 months. Are the government not supposed to look into educational system in Nigeria? At this rate, the educational system does not mean anything to them. This country has to sit up and live to their responsibilities. Sister Uti, you're welcome back, looking beautiful as ever. We missed you. My name is Daniel E.
You can almost tell. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much. So you were going to ask a question.
I was going to ask the question about the voters' registration that are invalid, that have been proven to be invalid now. How does this affect the elections, where you have a lot of registrations being invalid? Is there a process that helps people to be able to correct that before the election so that they have that opportunity, or is it just a dead end? Okay, it has happened, so there's nothing we can do till the next 4 years, then we can start looking into it.
No, that's why the chairman did conduct that press conference to let people know. So there's still, the process goes on till June, all right? So we still have some time to do whatever. And he's advised, he says, look, this is the issue. There are 2 categories of people here who should be registering, going through this process. The first category are the people who are turned 18. Okay. And suddenly they've now got
feel
majority.
That they have the right to vote. Or
so this is their opportunity, right? All these years they've not had the opportunity. They've turned 18. Now they can go ahead and register. Those are new registrations. Then you have those that have registered before, but now have, so one is that they want to change their, absolutely. PVC so it's saying that if you want to do a new registration, then you've got to fall within that category who's never registered before, okay? Then but some people have gone ahead and done the new registration thing rather than just correcting an existing registration. Okay, so I think a lot of it is, I think a lot of it is error, is genuine, innocent error. Although he says that some people have deliberately done that to try and game the system.
But does it invalidate both?
It invalidates the new registration that you're trying to do. If you're going to,
old one is still valid.
I'm certain that you can go back and now do it properly. So if you've registered before but you've lost your card, then you just go to the system. You've already, in order to register, you create an account, okay, online, and then you go through that account and then say, okay, now it's not. So you select the right category of what you want to do, want to have done. Then there are those who aren't doing it online who would go to the office there. Some of the staff too obviously didn't know what they were doing. So otherwise they would have guided people properly. But I think the reason why he's letting us know, they were doing it in 4 phases. So this is the last phase, the 4th phase of it. Okay. So people have enough time to
Sorry, still asking the same
themselves.
Question. Do these people now that have to correct their registration, do they have to do so in person?
Are you one of them?
No. I'm all right.
You should be able to do it online again, because you can just go onto the online thing,
that makes it
and
easier.
then select the proper section that you need to go through.
Okay, that's good.
So if you had done it, I guess the last question for me would be, if you hadn't started the process itself online, if you had done it before at a physical location, are you able to still leverage the digital option?
I would believe so. Yes,
because they're both
they're integrated. Okay. So. That in fact, if you've registered before and you put something about your details and you go to, I want to change my location or thing,
should be able to
it will just bring up stuff about you. So it's a computerized process. I mean, I'm so impressed, really, to be honest with you, with what these guys have achieved. Yeah, this is e-governance now. In flow.
Well, I like the fact that you actually mentioned e-governance. I think that would be our last question, because we've actually run out of time. What are your thoughts on digitizing the entire process? So there's a lot of conversation around e-voting, and the fact that, if we take this one step further from having the cards and having biometrics, what are your thoughts around that space?
Okay, so there was a time when you had to go to a bank to do your banking, all right? And I think about the most sensitive thing, one of the most sensitive things about your life is your money. Today we have banks that are branchless. All right, so everything is being done through the digital processes, okay? Now, I can't remember when last I went physically to my bank.
To the bank.
So our lives are changing. So whether the government, is slow or whatever, that's the direction that we're headed. So if you look at what INEC has been able to achieve so far, there is, like, if you look at South Korea, those guys have just taken this thing to the very next level. Now, Nigeria is also, amongst nations in the world, is noted for what is happening in fintech, and it's achieving things that even other parts. So I'm extremely confident that looking at what's going on now, I'm extremely confident.
It's a good direction to go.
Yeah, the guys in INEC, I think that they must be made up of some young minds.
So we're headed in the right direction.
That's where we're going.
Is what you have to say. Okay, I think that's a fantastic way to wrap up the conversation, because I think the world everything is digital now, so that's where we really should be looking to go. So thank you so much for joining us, Akin. I learned a thing or two today, so it was really nice to have you here. For our viewers, before we go, do ensure that you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. Remember to like, share, and comment. Invite your friends and family to watch and follow us. So if you missed today's quote, here it is again. Whenever we do voter registration, we ask, why haven't you voted before? The response is often, no one asked us. It's not about telling people what to do, it's about sharing what they can do. And that's by Rosario Dawson. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screens. Have a good evening. Bye.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I've done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Welcome to our lounge. This is TW Conversations. In the lounge today, we're going to be talking about birth control. I'm particularly interested in birth control because I want to know, I already have 2 kids. Do I have more? Can I stop? Can I hold up for a bit? We'll be talking about all this in the lounge today. And we're not alone. We're 2 co-hosts in the house, but then we have 3 guests. We'll introduce you to them after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, welcome back. We're still in the lounge. We're talking birth control. Who am I to be talking birth control when I have so many children? I have no control. But anyway, that's topic for conversation in the house today. And I find it interesting because we still have in the house Dr. Aliyu, my gynecologist, who is a guest on the show for that reason and many more, for his expertise. Dr. Aliyu, say hello to my audience.
Hello.
I also have, still in the house, Dr. Williams, who everybody... No, I think it's Anna is most excited to find that you are actually a FEC and you're here. Thank you for staying back to talk about this with us. And then, of course, our beautiful, they call them MUA.
Yes.
That's it. I used to wonder what it was, Moi, makeup artist, who's been responsible for all our faces on the show. And we brought her on camera today because she's a concerned young mother.
So happy to be here. Thank you.
Welcome. And then Anne is in the house. You are fast becoming a mini meal. No. You are you for who you are. So what are those concerns? Welcome, everybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
Let's get to it. And I'm glad that you allowed me to wear my salubata so I can be at the same level.
Comfort is very important. Comfort is key. So as young mothers, when we've had 1, 2, am I speaking for us? When we've had 1, 2, we start to wonder.
No, let's start by how many do you have?
2.
How many do you have?
3. Do you want more? You're not sure?
Yes, I'm not sure.
Okay, so
no, be sincere.
what are the options? What are the immediate options that we can take that can hold us for a bit?
Well, I do not believe
Why are you starting with
in contraception because I am an expert in natural family planning. And this is what I recommend to couples, even just before they are getting married, to make use of all the natural methods of family planning. I specialize in the creating model system and NAPRO technology, but there are other methods of natural family planning. And although I'm a gynecologist, I didn't arrive at that until after my 4th child, when I had so many complications from each of the methods that I actually was forced. I was, because there was nothing else for me, because I'd had 4 cesarean sections, and I was a practicing doctor, gynecologist, and my gynecologist told me that, well, you can't actually use any of these methods. And my husband was not, he didn't want to hear about vasectomy. And I had to learn the natural methods by myself.
Wow.
And since then, I have not had any
more kids.
Wow. No, but your kids are grown now. Hey.
No, I haven't. Since the 4th one,
yes.
I have totally, in fact, that was how I came into the system in the first place.
No, but I think the question here... No, the question here was birth control. Now, you're talking about contraception. You're saying birth what
methods? If I don't want to have a child in the next 5 years, what do I do?
The question is, why don't you even want to have a child? But let's ask from Dr. Aliyu, first of all. You know, because I've heard about all kinds of things about... She's talking about she's not for contraception. Definitely, I'm sure you prescribe contraception.
Very well.
100%.
Very well.
So the fears that people have about those contraceptions, which one works the best?
Let me state a general principle that there is nothing that man has made that does not have one comma or the other.
Okay.
Take, for example, you want to fly abroad. You're at the airport. And they say, oh, the plane that flew just now has crashed. Everybody died. When your flight is called, you don't say, no, I'm going to carry my luggage and trek to London. You will still enter. And plane flight is the safest. But occasionally, you have that. So whenever we talk about, well, let me call it artificial contraception, because even the natural one, which is what my colleague...
Yes, it's like contraception
yes,
still.
it's still a form of contraception. When you avoid intercourse at your dangerous period, you are still practicing contraception. It's just a question of which one are you using. Is it natural? I classify it that way, or artificial. So each one has its drawbacks. And that's why there are many methods when you consider the artificial one so as to determine which one suits a lady. But definitely, I am for contraception.
What worries you the most?
Is the bad experiences I've had.
You had
yes, no, not me. I mean, friends.
You've heard of?
Yes, I've heard of. I've heard of, I should have said. I was with a friend, we were sharing a hotel one time, and she went out and ran in quickly. Oh, I'm bleeding. What happened? Her, whatever that was placed in her, the JJ, she was seriously bleeding. And
she had okay, let the doctors explain. I don't know what that could be.
Yes. Yeah. So I panicked for her because she had to lie down and call her doctor, you know. I just said to myself, I'm never going to try. I'm never going to, because I think I just got married at the time. I hadn't had any baby yet. So I'm just like, you know, this is not for me.
Let me just come in a little. I want to believe that what she had just described is what, on a general basis, maybe the common person would call coil. For us, that's the intrauterine contraceptive device, IUCD.
Okay.
Right? And it's a known side effect. For that singular patient that had heavy menses, I can tell you that there may be 1 million people that don't have any problem. The only thing is, when somebody has a complaint, that's the one you hear. That's the one you hear. You don't hear of the millions that are using it. But from statistics, we know that millions are... Like I tell my patients, many market women use it because it's very convenient.
Market women?
Yes. When it's there and it's not causing trouble, they travel a lot. They even forget it is there. I've had patients, the one of 10 years is there before they suddenly remember, oh, I had one 10 years ago. She didn't even obey the rules.
Though. I mean, I wonder, and there's some side effects.
Okay, there's this one I heard about that stops your period. So you do not have a period. It's inserted in you and you never have a period. But so a friend of mine has it. So when she's supposed to have a period, she feels the cramps, but then there's no bleeding. Then I'm thinking, where's the blood going? Is it diverting it some? What's going on there?
Is this healthy though? I just wonder about it.
Dr. Williams, you want me to you want to talk about it?
Well,
you don't.
No, but
yes.
you would know. It doesn't matter what you
gladly.
believe. I'm talking about the practice now. Forget about the belief.
I'll gladly take it on board so that I can let people know that it's a very convincing thing. First of all, like I said, that's why you have various types. Selection matters a lot. For somebody, let me give you an example. For somebody who has been having irregular menses, because there are some of us, we have menses every 21 days, but there are some every 3 months, some 2 months, some 4 months, the same patient, 2 months now, then 4 months. If you give the injectable, any form of injection for contraception to such a person, it's likely that she won't see her menses. So it's a question of selection.
Doctor, do me a favor. Tell me how these things work. Because I do know, for example, I've read about how there's a direct correlation between breast cancer and the pills. Because you're messing with people's hormones.
Especially the hormones. They say some are hormonal, some are
so
not
how do
hormonal.
these things work?
Even when you take the pills, you feel very different.
How do you know that?
I know, because I do pills now and then. I don't feel too good.
First of all, the pills that we give, they are the combined pills.
Yeah, I know.
Estrogen, progesterone. It is meant to simulate the body.
Simple word, copy.
Yes, copy, mimic the body. We ask ourselves, why does a woman not ovulate when she's pregnant? It's because the hormonal level has risen because of that pregnancy. So again, and therefore, it suppresses the ovary and say all eggs continue sleeping. Nobody should wake up until I've disappeared. So if the woman is on it for months, the eggs will not wake up. And those hormones you have given are what the eggs would have produced, so the woman sees her menses even most regularly. Even for those who don't have regular menses, they see their menses regularly.
I see that doctors
because you regulate it. But coming specifically to your question, haven't mimicked it. There is no direct evidence till today, as far as I know, that it causes
breast
cancer, any form of cancer. There are a few people that we say, okay, because there is even this controversy, do not go there. That's all. It's not that it's been well established that it causes cancer.
Even try it.
And again, when some people have breast cancer, there are those that we normally say the cancer depends on estrogen because of the cells that are inside. If they are checked, we tell them, stop it. So it's not a general principle that because of that, it causes cancer.
What do you think? Why are you against control?
Well,
it can be a debate, so no problem.
It's not a debate.
What is it?
I would like to differ from my learned colleague because we know for a fact in the medical world that most definitely the combined oral contraceptive pill is definitely associated with a higher rate of breast cancer.
Why?
There's no doubt about, because it has hormones. Even when you're doing hormone replacement therapy for women who are postmenopausal, we know that those women have a higher rate of cancer because of the estrogen, it's because of the hormonal content.
So we have hormones normally now.
Very good.
We have hormones normally. So why would
Yes, because first of all, the hormones in your body are what we call bioidentical. They have a particular structure.
Okay.
The hormones that are in contraceptives are not of the same structure as the hormones in your body. They are not what we call bioidentical. That is the first thing. So all of them, they have different bits added. I don't want to go into technical language. So that it is not actually the same estrogen as your body produces, and it is not the same progesterone as your body produces.
Okay, but the point is...
And then the doses are different also.
Young women are there, they're thinking of what are options that are available. We've only talked about the pill and the coil. But there are other things, aren't there, doctor?
What's the one that they put in your hand? Because I know someone that has the... I can
Implant.
see it's black and it's a line, like a vein, and it's...
Yeah, it's under the skin, like she said.
Oh, it's visible.
It's not visible if it's well inserted. But when you
so that's the point.
when
If
you
it's
put
visible-
your hand, you will feel the line. It's as thick as and as long as toothpick.
Oh,
That's
is a
what
bit
I-
longer. It's about this, by this place, and then I
So
can
she's gonna
see
check
it
her
is
doctor.
black. I can see it.
No,
Maybe it wasn't
if
properly
it's
done.
this, do you have an idea what
Well,
she's talking?
I know they do insertions, but I hate those insertions. But in my own clinic, 2 people collapsed in my clinic who came for something else, and we just found that they had the insets. On those, I'm not saying it's for everybody. On those particular 2 people, when one, the blood pressure went out of control, the other one, her thyroid hormones went out of control. She's hypothyroid. She's normally has a low thyroid. When we now try to remove those insets, we send them back to the clinic, and the nurses told us that they are only trained to insert them. They are not trained to remove them. And this is a very important issue in Nigeria, where you're looking at the level of delivery of your health services to the average woman in the streets.
Well, I think now the point is, doctor, I will take a break, and I want you to respond to, at least to help people who are looking for options. We'll take a break and we'll return to what are we talking about? Birth control? What are the options? Which ones work and which ones don't? We'll be back. We're in the house, we're talking birth control. And I think it's at this point I will, do you need to control your birth or not? I remember that sometime last year, President Macron said something about those who have many children are not educated. You should come and see me. I even have friends who have 12 and 13. I went to school, it was a choice, so people have their choices. But I know, doctor says choices are available to people who want to control their birth artificially. Please, doctor, share some of them with us.
Yeah.
We've talked about 3, haven't we?
Yes, we've talked about the intrauterine contraceptive devices. We've briefly touched on oral contraceptive pills. And now we were discussing the dermal implant.
Are there 2 types?
No, when you talk of implant, there are various mix.
Okay.
Implanon and all the other, those ones are trade names. But we have the general name that is put under the skin. Usually under the skin, usually at the arm. As thick as and as long as toothpick.
So, doctor, sorry, I was to question. Her friend, who she was seeing her own, must be in danger then?
Well, not really in danger. I'm not too sure what has happened. Occasionally, like I said, some people react to certain things. Like my colleague said, yes, a few people can react to any hormonal implant. Even when you are giving medication to treat somebody, somebody can react to the medication. Some people can even take paracetamol and collapse. It's possible. So it's not as if, because of that, everything is thrown overboard. The majority still has something to benefit from it. But definitely, we must know that there are side effects. And so when you have that, which is very possible, and I agree with her, but it's there, and it controls...
What about the regular other forms of birth control, like
When I was about to have my second child, the doctor asked me, because I was doing a cesarean, the doctor asked me if I wanted to...
Tie your tubes.
Tie my tubes. And I was like,
correct.
I'm 29 years old. How will I tie my tubes?
But you don't want to have children now.
But it was just,
so why are you afraid to tie
it
your
just seemed
tubes?
so prim, because I asked them, is it reversible? I think they said it wasn't reversible or something.
Is that true, doctor?
Is that I don't remember what they...
Unquote, not reversible. Yeah, but you can still just take
You can't guarantee that you can...
No, it can be reversed. But we are not doing that in Nigeria. That's what I mean. Okay. We are not doing that. You need a special microscope to widen it, because you are talking of technical details. If you are going to cut off that area that you have already blocked, you have to cut it off, then join the open ends. We call it end-to-end joining.
I think we should first address the issue of why do we want to control birth. And I will ask...
Good.
Economy.
Yes.
Why are you talking together? Talk one after the other now.
Sorry.
Economy. Do you know what school fees is?
Yes, and then a lot of mothers want to look hot. So after they had 2 kids, you'll be like, I beg, I'm not doing again. Let me, look nice for my husband for different reasons. So
that's another thing
so
that
are you
concerned
telling me
me.
that having children destroys your body?
To be one of the things...
Is my body destroyed after 6 children?
You're lucky to have a good...
me. Well, you're one of
Another
the lucky
thing, another thing that someone said to me that was very, very key, I think it was my husband that said it. He said, how much of myself can I really give? How much of impact can I really make on these children? Because the more you have, the less, you're working how many hours, you're coming back. Sometimes you're exhausted, and that's why grandparents are not the best to raise their grandkids, because at that point, they're really tired, and whatever you want to do. How much of myself can I really give this child? If I had 10, how much of it? So
but let me tell you something, though. That's because I said I'm here like a grandmother, technically. Those are the concerns I personally had. My husband actually told me that can you love them? But I can tell you very categorically, whether they are 2 or 12, there's enough love for it. The only concern you will have is managing the costs
of taking care
and
of
the truth is, let me tell you the truth. After first one, my children were tired of hand-me-downs. When they finish, you pass it on. They finish. So I had a girl, 3 boys, so they were already, so show you, go to the next. And there's fun. They share Coke in my house. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a matter of choice. So it's not, at the end of the day, it's a personal thing. And you think about it, so don't ever give the excuse of, whether we look good or whether I will be able to afford it. How do you know that your child will even have the brain to go to the Harvard?
But you see the thing, another thing is that in Nigeria today, the economy is very...
I agree.
So in the sense that, for instance, I have a help. Sometimes I have for instance, I have a help. There are many things that I'm going to have to do for her. So I see her children as she lost her husband last year. Her children are now my children. So in other words, you don't have to necessarily have how many, I have 2 biological children, but those 2 children are also mine. So if I was having 4, when would I have time to help other people? When would my husband be able to think of other people?
But if you permit me just to make a statement, I keep saying that even if you have all the money in the world, your children need time. How do you have, like, I thought you said you had 10 children or something? No, I'm trying to remember.
7.
Oh, 7. Okay.
But then after number 4, they take care of themselves, though. My kids are very responsible. They take care of themselves. I didn't come to this world for a child.
But you brought them to this world.
Exactly.
My mother had 9. None of us was less loved than the other.
But
so
I'm
you have to be ready, but the
your
time.
mother did not have a career as you have.
Exactly. Oh, she did. My mother did. So don't use me as an example. I'm not a good example, though. My mother was a working mother. When she's coming home, all of us will scatter and do what we have to do. So I'm not a good example. The truth is, we can make excuses from here to tomorrow. Once you decide, I have friends who have 12 children. Come on. And none of them, in this Lagos, and none of them is the worse than the other. The kids have all gone to school. The only 2 that are not graduated yet, they look just like me. So let's all stop giving excuses and do what we want to do.
Your sanity?
No.
It's not insanity.
See, hello. Can I just say something here?
Sorry.
As a grandmother. It's about being responsible parents. It is not... A responsible parent is not a matter of the number of children you have.
Okay. Thank you.
So whether you have 2 children or 15 children, if you have 2 children and one of them is a Yahoo person and the other one is into gangs, you are not... Yes. So it's not about, the numbers. It's about the quality of children that you bring up who become responsible members of the society.
Dr. Williams, you're talking now because your children have grown. These ones are the ones that are living the matter now. Oluchi, what are your greatest concerns and what are your experience been? Are you want to control birth, obviously?
Yeah, but I think I would like to do the natural method because, you know, I don't like how I feel, like I said before, when I take... I think since I got married, I've taken pills maybe like 4 times. And I feel nauseous, constipated.
Wait, how about your weight?
No, just...
Did it affect your weight?
No, it didn't affect my weight. Just one night to just take, you know...
Oh, is it
Just one night thing. Just one night.
The ones that you take it, not the hormonal ones.
That's the
morning after
you mean
pill. Morning after. Morning after.
That's the
That's
one I particularly don't even encourage.
Wow. Why?
Because it is called emergency contraceptive.
Yes.
You see, when you are using it on a regular basis, that's no longer emergency. Emergency means maybe somebody's been raped, you know, something like that. You have no option. Maybe you are not on any protection. Then you use it just once.
So what does the thing do?
Why
It's hormone, and it's on high doses.
Wow.
So when you take it, the tendency is that you can feel like vomiting. Some people actually vomit. Yes, it is. It's meant to change the environment so that even if sperm was there, it will not be able to interact with the egg. That's all. That's the basic principle.
Why is it detrimental to take on a regular basis?
High dose of
It's
hormones.
detrimental because you don't want to be taking such high doses. It's not meant for your body on a regular basis.
So why isn't it regulated in Nigeria? Anybody can buy Postinor 2 everywhere now. Why
Yeah, but they do, but it's
people
not
now.
meant to be so.
Yeah.
It's meant under prescription.
It's written there.
Yes.
It's written
I
there.
made the point earlier that in Nigeria, the level of healthcare delivery to the average person whom we classify as the man at Oshodi bus stop at 5 o'clock, for me, is not enough for us women to use contraception.
Okay, why are they not talking about condoms? Those are easy. Because this contraception, we keep talking about it as if it's a women's problem.
We were actually going to that. We're going in series, and like you've rightly raised it, we have condoms for the men. I think that's simple enough. There are also condoms for women. There are also condoms for women. But the popular one is condoms for men. Yeah.
Some men say that.
Just like some men don't like it, some women don't like it.
Yeah.
I know some couples.
Why
yes,
don't
some
you
women,
just, I mean, all this is garbage, is English to me. Why are you going through all this trouble just because you want to control birth? When you can easily just abstain. Come on.
Please, I want to ask about
You
this.
want- then the last one, just before you ask your question, the last one, which is vasectomy.
Yes, I was going to ask you about vasectomy.
Yes, vasectomy. The equivalent in women are the tubal ligation. But honestly, we are into an era where we encourage men. Why don't you do it? And it's so nice, it's so easy, it's so simple.
There was a friend of yours who had, what was it?
After he had 2 kids, he decided that he wanted to do it. He didn't want his wife to go through the process of going through all that drama. And then he went to do it. I mean, at some point, I'm sure the wife was very worried, like, oh my God, you know, but then he did it and it's fine. But the only fear I had with that was, is it reversible? Just in case you decide, you know, at some point you want to have another child. Some people say it's not reversible, so I don't know. Is it reversible?
Just like tubal ligation, vasectomy is reversible. It is reversible. But
safest and most effective option.
very good.
Good.
It's a function, is customized to every patient.
What?
For example, if I'm hypertensive, oral contraceptive, the ones through the mouth, oral, they are out of the question for me. You know? I can use other forms that are not hormonal. If I have fibroids and the fibroids are in the inner lining, because it has a tendency to cause heavy bleeding,
You can't use them.
the IUCD is not even encouraged because we already know that IUCD, which is the coil, has the potential to cause heavy bleeding. But doesn't mean that it will, but it has that potential.
And most Nigerian women have fibroids. Believe me, I'm telling you.
If it's in the inner lining, because it can be on the outer lining, it has no effect.
Okay, but you see, excuse me, you guys have talked about this vasectomy thing. Yes. They say that vasectomy reduces a man's performance. Doctor, answer now.
Oh, okay. I thought Dr. Williams wanted to.
I'm not into contraception.
No problem. Well,
I do not like them.
Yeah, it is possible to some degree, but it doesn't always happen. But it's a known side effect.
So it affects his ego.
So you probably need Viagra to add to You probably need Viagra. You see the trouble. That's why for me, it's easier.
Not that it will.
Follow
it
your
can.
This is why men won't do it now. This
But
is why
please,
a lot
can
of
I
men
just
won't
say
do it.
something to the
Yeah.
younger generation?
Very quickly.
I want us to look at the future of birth control and the fact that those countries that enforce birth control are now the countries that have to take in immigrants to manage their economies.
Anyway,
you heard about Japan.
Yeah.
So this is a long-term effect. Nobody thinks about it. In 50 years' time, when all the women are doing birth control, you want to reverse it like China, they refuse to go back. So that country has an economic problem in the next 50 years.
These are repercussions.
That's for you. I will not be here in 50 years' time.
No, but it's like I tell my kids, which of you shouldn't I have had? And everybody says, which of you, if I had to take out one? Because you all love each other. So the question is, personally, your body, God has given you a body, because we must round up now. God has given you a body. He's giving you the means to try to manage it. I don't see why you want to enjoy yourself and cut God out of the picture. But if you trust God, however you do it, please inform yourself. That's my own final word. Get informed and do what is right by you. Just don't go out in the dark. Final words, doctor.
Final words, please invest in natural family planning methods. There are very many methods available. And Billings method is there. Literature, treatment model system, no side effects.
Okay,
affordable.
she preaches no side effects. Doctor?
Contraception is good. Have the number of children you can cater for.
Good. True. For me, have the number of children you feel capable of investing or impacting enough. We don't want more nuisances. It's perception. If you feel, what if God gave you twins or triplets? You know, sometimes you don't know what you can handle. But if you feel that you can't, please, by all means.
I think that couples, husband and wife, should sit down and agree.
Yeah.
This is what we are going to do, and they should visit a clinic if they want to do the natural, method or the artificial method. Decide this is, how we are going to go about this.
And for married family sex is not entertainment. Sex is serious business. For married
it's entertainment too now. It
for,
kills two birds with
for
one stone.
recreation and procreation.
It's for two purposes. It has to be for two purposes. Let's not look at it like, but the point, my own is you can't take one and leave the other. That's my own. You want to enjoy it, but you don't want the repercussions of enjoying it. You have to take the two. But whatever the case is, as we lay our beds, that's how we shall lie on it, right? So I must thank you all. Anne and I were alone here. Our other sisters were not here, but we still had fun. I joined you, so I will support you on the birth control. Thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you again. Adoluchi, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you again next week. Bye.
Lagos State government shuts down Christian schools, says sharing child pornography attracts 14 years in jail. Al-Shabaab claims mortar attack on Somalia's new parliament. Britons captured in Ukraine appear on Russian TV, ask for swap with Putin ally. And good evening and happy Easter to you. I'm Loretta Chiogo. This is News Now. Chrisland School has suspended other students involved in the sex scandal, which has gone viral. The school promised to release an official statement in respect of the scandal, in which a 10-year-old female and male students were involved in a videotaped sex escapade during World School Games held in Dubai in March. It was disclosed that the girl was the first to be suspended by the school authority after playing the Truth or Dare game. She was tagged the major participant. The school blamed the girl's parent for not cooperating with it during its investigation. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government has shut down all branches of Chrisland schools within the state pending further investigations. The state government has also warned members of the public to desist from distributing the footage of students of Chrisland School engaged in immoral act. The government warned that sharing such footage would amount to child pornography and could attract up to 14-year jail term. We're now being joined by a family life practitioner, Mrs. Nike Ajayi. Mrs. Nike Ajayi, good to have you on News Now tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Looking at the sex scandal in Chrisland School and generally looking at the moral decadence in the country, what would you have to say as a family life coach, starting from the home front? Can you hear me, Mrs. Nike Ajayi? Okay, we'll come back to our guest.
First of all,
all right, she's still there.
First of all, I would like to...
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. First, I would like to air my view, first as a parent, as a mother especially, and then it shows this is happening again. And if nothing is done systemically, we'll still have much more of this, unfortunately. I saw the video of the mom, I saw the video. It's really, it made me cry. Why? The reason is that for the obscene time, as a family life practitioner, we keep saying every child is a crystal pure gift from God until the child lands in the hand of the handlers. The handlers, starting from the parents to the custodians, at the point where this thing happened, this unfortunate incident happened. Okay, it's like you said, starting from the home front. For me, a 10-year-old child having such video is really, it really calls for concern. If you were a teenager, if you were maybe an older teenager, you probably would say it's a child, But for a 10-year-old child to have that kind of situation at hand and the unfortunate video we have, something has really gone wrong fundamentally. And from the home front, there must be something that went wrong, either actively or passively. This is a threat of the social media. Whosoever is the handler from the home front, we have to go back there and find out what we did to this innocent child, because a child that is 10 years, ideally, in a society that is systemic, in a family That's why we keep talking about family system, family system. You cannot outrun a system that you have created. So the home front has to be checked for all of us as parents. Then we now need to, okay, let's stop from the home front until I hear the next question, because we still have to go back to the school. There is a lot that has failed at the home front. As a parent, as a guardian, whosoever has been in charge of that child, whosoever has been the fundamental handler of that child, looking at the video, there is a lot that went wrong. We'll move to the school.
Now, looking at going back to how this happened and how it was videotaped, first of all, it's surprising that such an incident was videotaped by a fellow student. I've seen that video, and it's really, really, really bad. But again, these students were out of their home country, Nigeria, to Dubai for a competition. So it then speaks to me that there was no guidance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
that's why I said we will address issues as they come.
Go ahead.
For me to hand over my child to a school all the way from Nigeria to Dubai, then a system has actually failed. Because at the point when this happened, where were the custodians at that point? To the point of her leaving a hotel room to the boys' hostel or the hotel of the boys, to where this whole act was committed. Where were those custodians, the teachers that went with them to Dubai? What was the communication amongst the students, among the pupils, I beg your pardon, that even the teachers did not even have an inkling and to stem it at that point? So it's a systemic failure from the home front, even to the school, and parental values are dropping. That's the issue we keep having. Now schools, when we want to pick the schools, when we want to make the choices of school, it's now more of the material values we see. Unfortunately, a lot of parents are in this scenario. Material values, the physical values we see, the hype. My children are going abroad. There is nothing absolutely wrong with all those things. But the major reason for being in school is the values, and you may not be able to identify those values if you do not have a value system as a family, as a parent that drives you. You may not know what to watch out for, and your children will be at the mercy of teachers or staff or schools. I'm not talking about Chrisland alone here. Any school might have been established only for profit reasons. So there are 1,001 reasons that all these things happen, but we must go back to the fundamental values and systems.
How then can one achieve sanity in homes where these pupils, these children are being faced with what we now call the wider world? You have all the gadgets in place, you have the tabs, you have the phones, you have all the internet stuff going on for these children. So how then do we bring back sanity to the home front?
Thank you so much. Whether we like it or not, the internet has come to stay. Thanks to parents that have actually infused parental guardians into all what they're doing, restricting the age of the student and the children that can be exposed to all this. But we realize that regardless, as parents, our non-availability in terms of our workspace career has taken away our time. Because the major values, no matter how we take away these gadgets or we control, what is very, very critical in the lives of our children is for us to have quality time with them, quality conversation with them. We keep saying also that availability is not ability. We have to be available for our children, and we also have to get the ability to instill the right values, virtues, and skills. However, as parents, you cannot shy away from the fact that you do not have the capacity You may not have the capacity to instill all the value system. And that's why we have teachers, that's why we have mentors, that's why we have coaches. But when you know the fundamental values, the ones you know you can sincerely not give, you now begin to depend on the right, tested and trusted support system, starting from the kind of schools to attend, the friends to keep, the neighbors and the environment to stay with, the colleagues to keep in the office, the community, offline or virtual, you need to belong to as a parent. These are the things that will drive, because truly it's getting more challenging.
Now, there's something, thank you very much. There's something, there's something personally I've observed among parents where there's always this trading of blames when a parent is told about an affair or an act by their children was a bad act. They tend to say, no, that's not my child. My child wouldn't do such a thing, and things like that keep going on under their nose. So where is the parent going astray? Is it by not receiving what others observe in their children, or by being so defensive of their children's acts?
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. I'll also say again, we have quite a number of dysfunctional parents who were also not properly parented. And that is the major monster and menace we have. And by our culture as Africans, we have been nurtured to sweep things under the carpet, and we have been nurtured to look for the next available person to blame for our ills. The right thing to do as a responsible parent is to find out why. And when you do not achieve the why, the how will be different. I also keep saying that many times why we say this thing will keep happening is because of this blame game we keep throwing. The parents will blame the school will blame the parents, the community will, no, let's stop it. I remember in the olden days, they keep saying that it takes a whole community to raise a child. They never had a formal system, but to a large extent, they got it all right until we all lost it out of social media and our busy state. So what I want to say is that this blame game must stop. When situations like this happen, find out how. It's not a time to say it's not my child. Many things are parenting our children under our nostrils. So nobody should hold brief until you are so sure that you have the proper value system and you keep working at it. So you can't blame, you can't be throwing tantrums of cover-up. Enough of this cover-up. Now we need to face the reality. We need to separate the symptoms from the sickness and from the source. Many times, like this again, this is another symptom of a systemic default. This is another symptom of a moral decadence. This is another system, that our school system is faulty. This is another evidence that we are on the peripherals as a school. We want to go to Dubai, we want to go to the US. This is another evidence that a system has failed. And I listened to the video of the parents. It's so annoying, to the extent that the school also, according to our reports, also covered up. You did not even tell the parent what happened. You took her daughter for tests and changed, according to her, changed it to pregnancy test without the consent of the parent because you wanted to cover up. That is way so out of place. Image is more nurtured here than values. And until we stop that, we'll keep going on blame games.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Nike Ajayi. You're a family life practitioner. We hope to keep talking to you about these issues and hope this wouldn't happen again. Thank you so much. And the news continues. In a related development, the Lagos State Police Command has said that it has commenced investigations into Chrisland School's sex scandal. In a statement, the command stated that the video purportedly depicting students of Chrisland School in Lagos being investigated to establish to establish the identities of the players in the video, the true incident in the video, the geographical location of the incident, the alleged threats to life against a student of the school, and circumstances surrounding the alleged repeated pregnancy tests conducted on the student without parental consent. Away from Chrisland's sex scandal, Special Counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, Aloy Ejimako, has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to engage in the case involving Nnamdi Kanu rather than trial. On behalf of Kanu, Haneze Ndigbo had made a similar request as Ejimako, asking President Buhari to use his prerogative of mercy on the pro-Biafra group leader. Kanu is being held for various offenses, including treasonable felony and terrorism offenses he allegedly committed in the course of his separatist campaigns. He had pleaded not guilty to all the 15 amended charges, but the court struck out 8. Legal icon and elder statesman Afe Babalola has cautioned that the 2023 elections be suspended to avoid electing the same current crop of those he called incompetent leaders. At a news conference in Ado-Ekiti, Babalola said it was regrettable that the current 1999 constitution foisted on Nigerians by the military was no longer in tune with the realities of the day. He suggested that an interim government drawn from all living former presidents and vice presidents, some selected ministers and governors, and delegates of prominent professional associations replace the current administration in 2023 at the expiration of President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure. Former representative of Rivers Southeast Senatorial District, Senator Magnus Abe, has officially declared to run for the governorship seat in the state in 2023 under the All Progressives Party APC. Abe made the declaration during the inauguration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu Vanguard in Gukana local government area of Rivers State. He, however, said he would only support anyone who emerges APC's governorship candidate in the state under a free, fair, and equitable contest, warning that anything short of that would be resisted.
Candidate that is known to our nation. We don't need an upland candidate that is known to anybody. What we need is a Rivers candidate that is known to the Rivers people, that has the capacity, that has the track record, that has the integrity to be able to deliver the kind of life that Rivers people expect. That I, Senator Magnus Ngei Abe, I will contest for the gubernatorial ticket of the All Progressive Congress. I have not said, and I will not say, that Senator Abe must be the candidate of the APC in Rivers State. Have I ever said so? No. I have always said, and I will repeat, if you have a fair, free, equitable contest, and somebody emerges from that process, I, Magnus Ngei Abe, will support whoever emerges from such a process, and the person will win.
The apex decision-making body within the Lagos State chapter of the All Progressives Congress, known as the Governance Advisory Council, GAC, led by the former governor of the state and APC national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, has approved the second-term reign for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at its meeting. Sanwo-Olu has not said anything about running for a second term and has not picked his nomination form for the election, apparently waiting for the official endorsement of the party's chieftains. With the APC governorship election primary slated for May 27th, the speculation on whether Sanwo-Olu will get a second term has become rife among business and political elites in the state, especially members of the APC. Benue State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has endorsed the Speaker of the State's Assembly, Honorable Titus Chiopine Uba as the consensus candidate for the party's governorship ticket. At an expanded meeting of the party's caucus for the Tiv-speaking area, stakeholder blocks of the party endorsed Uba as the preferred candidate from Vandekia local government area, where the same caucus had earlier zoned the governorship ticket to. Stakeholder blocks that conveyed endorsement of the State Assembly Speaker included the Vandekia PDP Elders Forum, G14 Group of Elders, Benue State House of Assembly Tiv PDP Caucus, Local Government Council Chairman, and Benue PDP 2023 Governorship Aspirants Forum members from the Tiv-speaking area. And to security matters, troops of the Multinational Joint Task Force, MNJTF, has disclosed it killed 10 Boko Haram commanders and 100 terrorists during land and air clearance operations along the fringes of the Lake Chad Basin. Areas cleared by the troops include Zanari and Arena Owoje, which served as a major fabrication workshop for the terrorists. Other areas include Asaga, Alaki, Garere, Kerenua, Wuje Arege, Abadam, Doran Lilawa, Kobaram, and several other locations around the island. 18 soldiers were reportedly wounded, while 3 others and a member of the CJTF paid the supreme price during the operation. The operation, codenamed Operation Lake Sanity, is a joint operation involving the MNJTF troops from Nigeria, Niger, and Cameroon, and troops from Operation Hadin K, OPHK, in Nigeria. Troops of 34 Artillery Brigade Nigerian Army have neutralized the members of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra IPOB and its armed affiliate Eastern Security Network at Ihioma community in Olu local government area of Imo State. Troops on routine patrol encountered members of the armed group who fired sporadically at Banana Junction to enforce the illegal sit-at-home order on law-abiding citizens. In the firefight that ensued during the operation, one of the criminals was taken out, while others fled in disarray. Troops are combing the general area and follow-up operations to track down the fleeing dissidents. Earlier, we spoke to the acting youth leader, Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide, Onwa Soanya Jones, on the issue.
There are many things they can do from a civilian's perspective and a leader's perspective. I feel that the security agents should invest more in intelligence. They should be able to pick up intelligence from the camps of these individuals, of these criminals perpetrating this crime across the Southeast. They shouldn't be reactive. They should be proactive. They should be able to ensure that they capture, kill, or arrest only those who are guilty, only those who are behind these attacks. The situation is worsening because sometimes people, innocent people, or people who just who are peaceful in their dispositions are arrested or sometimes are killed.
Okay.
But the security agents cannot, all the resources available to them, be able to detect and find out where these camps are, where these individuals are, where the politicians who are sponsoring them are. How do these people move logistics to carry out such attacks these people are carrying out? They require a lot of logistics.
Exactly.
How do these logistics move? These are things the security agents should begin to do more than responding to attack, than being reactive. Whenever these people are attacked, they run around and arrest innocent people. So they should invest more on intelligence. They should track those who are sponsoring them, track the actors, and deal with them decisively.
An end to terrorism and banditry in Northwest is in sight, according to the presidency. Pointing to the success recorded in the fight against insurgency in the northeast, it said the escalation of terrorist activities in the northwest would also be brought under control soon. The presidency said there has been an ongoing re-equipping and reorganization of the security and intelligence forces. The North has been reeling under serious terrorism and bandit attacks, which have taken a turn for the worse. There have been daily attacks, including kidnappings for ransom, killings, and incessant farmer-herder clashes, among others. Governors of the 36 states of the Federation have warned the federal government against tampering with funds accruing to them and the 774 local government areas under the guise of satisfying an alleged $418 million London Paris Club loan refunded related judgment debts. The states said they were not parties to any suit on the London Paris Club refund, and as such were not liable to any person or entity in the judgment of debt being relied on by the federal government. Speaking through the body of Attorney General of the Federation, the states warned further that should the federal government proceed to make any such deduction, it would be acting illegally and in contempt of the appeal challenging the judgment. And wrapping up the Easter celebrations, a foundation has extended charity to traders at the Mowe market in Ogun State as a way of showing the essence of the season. Our correspondent Paul George reports.
The convener of the Funke Bada Foundation, Funke Bada, encouraged the market women not to lose hope in God as she shared some items ranging from clothes, noodles, seasoning, and foodstuff.
This whole thing started in the year 2014, but as at then, it was not officially inaugurated. So I would just say it was inaugurated in February, just 2 months ago in February. I think 13th of February, we did the inauguration of this foundation.
When asked why she decided to visit the market women, this is what she had to say.
We started 2 months ago, and between then and now, we have been able to to restore back 6 children that were dropped out back into schools. Also, we've been able to help some of the widows to stand back on their feet. Some of them, we have been able to establish them with a small business that they are doing right now. So today being the Easter Monday, we decided to come out and reach out to the less privileged. We know this period, many people will be in their houses, cooking, eating chicken and rice, but some don't have anything to eat.
A pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Gabriel Bakari, who was also at the venue, said the outreach was to consolidate on the Let's Go a Fishing program designed by the church to reach out to the masses.
The mandate of our daddy in the Lord, the general overseer, that during this time of the season, we go out for what is called Let's Go a Fishing. And in the course of the Let's Go a Fishing, we preach the word of God. We make sure that we reach out to people in form of welfare by giving out some items to them, food items, clothing, and then we preach for them to accept Jesus Christ and tell them the importance of this season.
Beneficiaries expressed their joy after receiving the gift.
Thank you very much. Oh, we love you. I'm so happy. I will really appreciate the person that provided this one. More blessing, more grace in Jesus' name.
I will thank God, and God bless all the people there, everything. That's it.
My prayer to them that God will enlarge them and God will bless their pockets so that they're able to help the poor masses.
God will bless you people and more blessing upon us.
Paul George, PlusTV News.
The advertising industry regulator, APCON, has said that Sterling Bank PLC will be sanctioned over a controversial Easter message where it likened the resurrection of Jesus Christ to agege bread. APCON said the distasteful advertisement was neither submitted nor approved for exposure by the Advertising Standard Panel ASP, the statutory panel charged with the responsibility of ensuring that advertisements conform with the prevailing laws of the Federation as well as the Code of Ethics of Advertising in Nigeria. The bank, in celebration of Easter, shared a picture of a golden brown bread divided into two with the caption, "Like agege bread, heroes." Agege bread is a popular Nigerian bread known for its soft, stretchy, and chewy texture. Chairman of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, Lateef Olawumi, has warned Nigerians against neglecting the spread of COVID-19 despite measures by the federal government to ease its spread. He made the statement while speaking with journalists on the occasion of the Biomedical Laboratory Science Day, which was with the purpose of promoting and celebrating the important role of biomedical laboratory scientists in diagnostic, treatment, research, quality development and assurance, disease surveillance, and preventive healthcare systems.
We are not safe yet. We are not out of the wood yet. We still have a long way to go. And sincerely, if we don't have a treatment for COVID-19, vaccine for COVID-19, we cannot say we are free yet. We still have to develop a lot of things for us to be safe from COVID-19. As what actually brought a bit of relief to the way we are handling COVID-19 before was the war in Ukraine. But as the war is ravaging Ukraine, we also learned that there is a rise, very, very sharp rise in the number of people that are testing positive to COVID-19 in China.
Olawumi explained that the government needs to work with a science laboratory to produce vaccines that would prevent the spread of the deadly virus.
So we are able to implore the government that they should encourage professionals, especially medical lab scientists that are involved in the isolation of the virus, to also assist in the vaccine production for Nigerians, so that we are not going to spend our hard-earned money on a foreign production of vaccine, even though I learned it's being given to us free. But there's still need for us to start producing, and giving it to some other African countries will not be a bad idea.
As Christians are basking the euphoria of the Easter celebration, some Nigerians say it is worth celebrating irrespective of the many challenges. That's on Street Views. Take a listen.
It signifies freedom for me. Means that Christ came, he sacrificed himself, and he has died so that a lot of sins that a lot of people commit, even before they commit it, they are forgiven. And so once they just accept him, everything is gone. Yeah, there's insecurity, there is a lot of things, but Jesus did not cause it.
As a Catholic, Good Friday meant a lot to me because we are celebrating the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. If you are alive today, despite the security situation in the country, you should celebrate yourself. You should celebrate Christ, because without Christ, there's no life.
Where there is life, there is hope, right? We have to, we don't like, we are Nigerians. No matter the condition, we are going to continue smiling and celebrating our life because we are alive and there is health, and we thank God.
It's worth celebrating because no matter what, we can't just deny ourselves the right to be happy. So we need to be happy, to share, because now Nigeria itself is very bad. So the only way you can come out of the bad situation is just for you to give yourself that happiness.
As a Christian, I just understood that Good Friday is the day that Jesus Christ went to Galilee and he was crucified on the cross of Calvary, and it's a very significant event. So regardless of whatever may be, what may come, the circumstances on ground, it should be celebrated. And it should be taken into consideration that this particular day is actually the day that somebody came from heaven, took the form of man, and died for our sins.
In what it, in any condition, we should praise God. When you are alive, be able to praise God. Especially this week, most of people is late. Maybe sickness or one thing or the other happens suddenly. So when we are alive, you praise God.
Ó ṣeun gbogbo nínú ayé wa nítorí pé ńgbà tí Jésù kú fún wa tán ó tún jíǹde tó rà wá padà nínú ẹ̀ṣẹ̀. Ìwé mímọ́ náà ló sọ wí nínú ohun gbogbo ní ká ṣáà máa dúpẹ́. Ó lọ́pẹ́ ni. Ọpẹ́ ló yẹ. Ọpẹ́ ló yẹ. Àwa láyé, ọpẹ́ ló yẹ.
Still ahead, South African military deployed to flood-ravaged KwaZulu-Natal province. Details when we return.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome.
Creative Industry Power presents one event, 4 locations, 7 days, 10 countries, 168 hours of fun in the city of Lagos. It's the Creative Industry Festival, C-Fest, from the 1st of May to the 7th of May, 2022. Get ready to rock and be rocked the creative way. For more details, visit www.festival.creativeindustrygroup.ng.com. For advert bookings and exhibition stands, call 0913-569-9010. Maximum security guaranteed. C-Fest 2022, powered by Creative Industry Power.
Supported by PlusTvAfrica.
You're welcome back. In other parts of Africa, a mortar attack interrupted a parliamentary session in Somalia as the newly elected lawmakers were meeting in the heavily fortified compound. Somalia is trying to complete the process of choosing a new president. Several people were left injured after a mortar attack struck the area around the building. Officials and witnesses reported that shells landed inside the heavily fortified compound, but no lawmaker was hurt. The explosions were also heard over the live stream of Monday's lower house parliamentary session. Around 20 armed members of the rebel Mai Mai militia disrupted an Easter Mass at the Queen of Angels Catholic Church in Bunyuka village, North Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and demanded money. A local leader of the village, Ancient Muhindo, said that the militia men armed with firearms and knives besieged the church during service, which made the priests and the congregation flee for their lives. The National Army later intervened by firing warning shots and scared off the attackers. Mali's ruling junta has announced the delivery of 2 more combat helicopters and surveillance radars from Russia as the West African nation tackles a bloody jihadist insurgency. Photographs of the equipment being unloaded from a Russian cargo flight at Bamako International Airport were posted on the official Twitter account of Mali's presidency. Army Chief of Staff General Onmar Diarra in a statement said, "It's a sign of a very fruitful partnership with the Russian state as the delivery brings to 8 the known number of helicopters that Moscow has provided under closer ties forged by rebel colonels who seized power in 2020." End of quote. Britain and Rwanda have continued to attempt to justify their highly controversial migration agreement against a tidal wave of criticisms as the 2 countries announced a deal to send more people arriving the UK as stowaways on trucks or in small boats to the East African country to have their asylum claims processed. British Home Secretary Priti Patel and the Rwandan Minister of Foreign Affairs Vincent Biruta have written a joint article for the British newspaper The Times arguing their case. In it, they said this groundbreaking partnership will set a new international standard and provide legal, safe, orderly and controlled ways for people to better their lives, flee oppression, persecution or conflict, and enjoy new opportunities. A week after the torrential rains began, the South African National Defence Forces has said that it had been instructed to activate 10,000 troops for tasks including mop-up work and transporting aid outside the town of Umbumbulu, about 45 kilometers southwest of Durban. Community members accompanied police officers and sniffer dogs to search a river for a missing body who had been swept away. According to local officials, she was coming home from work accompanied by her son when they both got washed away by floods. Libya's national oil company has suspended operations at 2 major oil sites, the Zonetina terminal and the Al Charara field, after shutting down several other facilities in connection with protests and political rivalries. In a statement, the NOC regretted the beginning of a painful wave of closures of oil facilities at a time when oil and gas prices are soaring on international markets under the impact of the war in Ukraine. The blockades announced come at a time when Libya is struggling to turn the page on the years of Muammar Gaddafi's regime overthrown in 2011. Volunteer groups in Sudan are stepping up efforts to distribute daily free iftar meals to needy in the country where chronic political crises have worsened the economic conditions of the people. Volunteers said the need to offer these meals has now become necessary more than ever to offset the economic hardships of different vulnerable groups within the country. One of the initiatives, the Ramadan Iftar Project, targets people who mostly come from provinces outside the capital Khartoum, either at isolation wards in hospitals, those accompanying hospital patients, as well as students in dormitories, by distributing around 1,200 meals per day. And outside Africa, 2 British fighters captured in Ukraine by Russian forces have appeared on Russian state TV and asked to be exchanged for a Ukrainian ally of President Vladimir Putin, Viktor Medvedchuk, who was being held by the Ukrainian authorities. It was unclear how freely the two men, Sean Pena and Aiden Aslin, were able to talk, but both spoke separately after being prompted by an unidentified man. Medvedchuk was shown asking to be swapped too in a video released around the same time by Ukraine's SBU intelligence service via social media.
I think Boris needs to listen to what Oksana has said. I remember seeing in the news when Viktor Medvedchuk was arrested for his political affiliations. If Boris Johnson really does care, like he says he does, about British citizens, then he would help Precious Zelensky to do the right thing and return Victor to his family and return us to our families.
Johnson, obviously I'm Sean Pinner. A lot's gone on over the last 5 or 6 weeks that I'm not fully aware of. Obviously I understand that Mr. Medvedchuk has been detained, and we look to exchange myself and Aiden Aslin for Mr. Medvedchuk. Obviously, I'd really appreciate your help in this matter and pushing this agenda.
Coming up next, World Bank says fuel subsidy puts Nigerian economy at high risk. That's in business news after this short break.
And on business news, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, has warned of the implications of the Russian-Ukraine war, citing the tensions have triggered globally supply chain disruptions, largely affecting countries including Nigeria, exposed to trade with the warring nations. The NESG disclosed these in a report titled Implications of Russia-Ukraine War, Risks and Opportunities for Nigeria on Sunday, according to the news agency of Nigeria. They also urged federal government to take advantage of the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, AFCFTA, and ensure effective border control to soften the impacts of the fallout of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And Professor PlusTvAfrica has stated that Nigeria must focus on its educated young and unemployed population to double its GDP in 5 years. The former presidential aspirant hinted that he will be part of a political coalition for Nigeria's presidency in 2023 with the goal of doubling Nigerians' GDP. He also stated that if Nigeria reduces the cost of governance, it will be enough to fund employment-related reforms. The Director General of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, Farouk Salim, has said that in Nigeria, no one is tracking importers of substandard goods. Salim said this in Lagos during a stakeholder sensitization forum tagged Standards Save Lives, Grow the Economy. He also said that the essence of the sensitization with stakeholders was to communicate and share views on how to make businesses more efficient. Salim attributed the high rate of insecurity in the country to the importation of substandard goods. And the World Bank says increasing fuel subsidy puts the Nigerian economy at a high risk as subsidy payments could significantly impact public finance and pose debt sustainability concerns. The Washington-based lender said this in a new biannual report known as Africa's Pulse. According to the bank, Nigeria is projected to have a 3.8% growth in 2022, adding that as an oil-dependent country, weak oil production hampers economic recovery. It added that the increase in fuel subsidy poses a high risk to the country's economic growth, despite the increase in oil prices. And that's business news. Thanks for watching. I am Destiny Mama. The news continues.
And the very best of entertainment is up next.
Burna Boy has been given a plaque, making the feat as the first African artist to sell out Ziggo Dome in Amsterdam, Netherlands. He sold out the 17,000 capacity dome in Amsterdam when he held the Space Drift concert, which started on Thursday, April 14th. 16,500 fans joined him in the dome as he performed to their satisfaction during his two-day concert. To celebrate Burna Boy's achievement, the management of the facility presented a special plaque artwork to him. Burna Boy has been on a European tour for a while now. He has already performed in Geneva, Switzerland, and other countries where he performed the remix of Black Sheriff's Second Sermon. Ghanaian dancehall artist Shatta Wale has called on his compatriots to respect Nigerians because they understood music talent. This was in a tweet which was preceded and followed by a series of tweets. The rapper has had a war of words with Nigerian music fans and artists in the past, with most recently Grammy Award-winning singer Burna Boy. He said Nigerians should be respected for the hard work they put into their music, adding that they understood talent. Shatta Wale slammed Ghanaians for comparing themselves to Nigerians, stating that the lifestyle of both countries are different. After his statement, Shatta Wale asked Nigerian fans not to interfere in his clash with his compatriots, saying that he would face Nigerians if he had any beef with them. Billie Eilish still can't believe that she stopped as one of the headliners at the 2022 Coachella. When taking the stage on the second day of this year's event, the bad guy hitmaker told the crowd that she should not be headlining the festival. She's in disbelief that she's grateful and this is such a dream come true for her. Shortly afterwards, Billie entertained the crowd with a 2018 song, You Should See Me in a Crown. She also encouraged the audience to be comfortable and confident with themselves. At the end of a 90-minute performance, Billie took another moment to thank her fans.
And up next is sports news.
Hello and welcome to Sports News on PlusTvAfrica. Jose Peseiro had been tipped to take over as coach of the Super Eagles after the 2021 African Cup of Nations, but the NFF settled for Austin Eguavoen to continue with the team in a widely supported turnaround. While Eguavoen's failures have become a slap in the face to many Nigerians who demanded a longer contract for him, the NFF has been forced to return to the man they originally wanted for the job, Peseiro. The former Sporting Lisbon, FC Porto and Al Ahly manager from Portugal does not have a stellar coaching record, but according to reports, the NFF has stuck with him regardless. The NFF is expected to make an announcement in the coming days. Now, Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says Tuesday's game with Manchester United is a clash between two of the biggest clubs in the world. The match is set to be the second Premier League meeting of the season between the two clubs, with the first match ending in a humiliating 5-0 drumming of United at Old Trafford Stadium. This will be the first meeting between Jurgen Klopp and Ralf Rangnick, with the former expecting a tough match with a United team coming off the high of a 3-2 win over Norwich.
It's a big game. It's a massive game. Two biggest clubs in the world, I would say. Maybe in Spain too, will say it's differently, but two of the biggest clubs in the world for sure face each other. Massive history around, big fights in the past, and this time it's an incredibly important game again for both teams, and that says it all. So both teams are fighting for being in the Champions League next year or more, we will see, and that's a tough one. And United is obviously in a situation. They won the last game. Hurt now a little bit. We're not overly happy with the performance, but the result and the results from other games open the door again for the Champions League, and that's the Man United we will face now. They will go for it.
If Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Playoff Series is anything to go by, the duel between the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets could live long in the memory. In a thrilling back-and-forth encounter at TD Garden on Sunday, it looked as if the visiting Nets were going to steal the match up until the last second. when Kevin Durant missed a three-pointer attempt to effectively seal the game. The Celtics had 14 seconds to overturn a 114 to 113 deficit. They refused to use their final timeout with the buzzer about to sound. Jason Tatum just managed to get his shot off in time to spark wild scenes in the arena. It was his first career buzzer beater. He scored 31 points, and with Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Marcus Smart also contributing 20-plus tallies, the Celtics emerged with the most dramatic of victories. Kyrie Irving was the star for the Nets, but the former Boston man's 39 points were in vain.
And you notice that back then when they were going through the struggles, as Tatum takes it away from Brown, alley-oop to Horford. That's 5 turnovers already for Brooklyn. They only have 4 field goals and just 10 points.
But these aren't unforced turnovers.
The lead, even with all their great defense, only up 2. Brown with the steal. Irving throws it away, and Claxton able to finish out of the initial defending. Claxton defending, turn the corner and get to the cup. Tatum drives hard off the glass. Turning down the 3, putting his head down and attacking. Irving runs up and knocks. Smart drives, goes inside, adjusts, layup won't go. Horford the rebound, back up, and Irving looking, 7 to shoot. Irving step back 3, puts it in. Kyrie Irving with the long way from the double team. Continues into the paint, scrambling, double teamed again. Back out to Durant, shot clock at 2. Durant's got to put it up, gets it off in time. Off the mark, no good. Horford the rebound. Celtics have a timeout, decide not to use it here. Brown the drive. Jaylen Brown kicks it out. Smart fakes. Inside, Tatum spins and he puts it in. Celtics go up by 1. They wave it off.
And that's all the sports news we have for you for now. Join us next time. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. Have a good night.
And the main news again. Lagos State government shuts down Chrisland schools, says sharing child pornography attracts 14 years in jail. Shabab claims mortar attack as Somalia's new parliament meets. And Britons captured in Ukraine appear on Russian TV, ask for swap with Putin's ally. And that's the news. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I'm Loretta Chiogo. Many thanks for watching, and have a wonderful night rest, and work resumes tomorrow. Good night.